Probably not the.
Let's see, maybe sent somebody's car with that. Probably Belinda's car.
Brick cans are not that cheap.
Roll out in the car, somebody saying.
I was gonna say. We are calling back into regular session. The next item on our agenda is reinstating late charges for utility payments not paid by the 10th of the month, and discontinuing water service for non-payment was suspended due to the pandemic. And you will see this. You have this handout that's entitled Utilities. Because in April is when we instituted having the late charges and extension fees suspended. And you can see from this, for just April and May, we compared it to 2019 to 2020, and you can see that how much we have lost in those revenues. And we could sure use that money. We also are having people not pay, or waiting until the day they receive their next statement to pay the rent or before. And because there is no penalty, there's no penalty for them to do that. Only one person has called the office and said, I'm out of job. We're being affected by this. Can we make payments? And those people even, I think they paid part and then they paid another part. And never really, they're the only ones that benefited, in my opinion, from not having a late charge or an extension fee. So this is up for discussion. What do you think?
So are you saying that these top four figures right here of loss is what we lost because because this is what people have not paid their water bills? Are these the water bills that have not been paid? I know, but because that's all what's in our water bill is these four things.
Water, trash, and sewer.
Right.
All of them.
And road and infrastructure.
All of
Is
that is.
Remember we had the $8 and the $2 on there?
Right, so everything's at the last two. Everything's at the last two.
So what I'm saying, what I'm asking is this, are you telling me this is how many water bills that have not been paid?
That's just paid last, and that was paid compared to what we paid last year. Right? This is what's been paid, and that was paid last year. So it's not what isn't, so it's not what hasn't been paid, that's just the difference from last year this year.
I'm not asking it out.
Okay, fine.
No, it's okay. I'm just,
Well, and, sorry, Jonathan.
no, go ahead. I'm trying to figure out how to ask it.
I'm curious as to the people that haven't paid, what their previous history of payment was. Because, like we said, there's probably an advantage that's going to be taken in that. And so somebody that had paid, just for instance, that had paid on time for 10 months, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, if you can't pay it because of this, or something, so forth. So they said, well, I'm not paying. Well, I don't know if, and I don't even know if we want to get into it or not, because it would dump a ton of work on Alicia to go back through and find that out. But I'm just kind of curious.
Lisa already knows. Yeah. She knows who's always late and who always pays on time.
And when we had the late fee, she would always call and say, well, it wasn't, it was when it got to the time, the 21st, for the cutoff time, for cutting off their water, she would make a call to every single person that had not paid and say, we're gonna cut your, we are gonna cut your water off unless you come in and pay. And that's when people would say, no, I want an extension, or they would come in and pay. Or they would get their water turned off, and then they would come in, and then they would pay, and then they would have to pay to put their water turned back on. And we didn't really have this problem until we just turned people's water off. We have bills to pay. And we're not getting the money in a timely manner in order to pay our bills.
It'd be interesting because you, maybe I'm getting too picky here, but you have this person that's been paying their water bill, and then all of a sudden they said they can't pay it. And you ought to be able to look at the usage over the last 10 months and the usage the last 2 months, because if nobody's working at their home, obviously they're using more water. I mean, it's all that you do. And so, but then we're getting in like federal investigation.
Well, we're becoming their mother,
Well,
and we don't, Should
And
we
they're
hire
able-
somebody to come in and make phone calls to all these people that have not?
No, we made it perfectly clear that they had to be paid
Still,
still,
when it goes back.
and that it would be due by the June 10th bill for all these months regardless. But this loss is because people haven't paid their water bills, not because people are broke out, is what I'm trying to get at.
and I don't mean to speak out of turn, but last year, during the month of May, we collected this much. This year, the month of May, we collected this much. That's just all it is. It could be a combination of everything. People not paying, people moving, people whatever. But I don't think there's any way that you can compare those two numbers and say that it is 100% because people didn't pay the bill.
The only thing you can say is for the late fees and the extension fees.
Well,
That's the only way.
right, but I mean,
Because the people who are always late and always have a late fee stays fairly consistent. People who get extensions, that stays fairly consistent.
well, I think the only thing that you can do is find out how many people didn't pay their water bill during the month of May.
That's what I'm saying, how many because what you're bringing up, and I guess that's what I'm trying to get at, is the ones that haven't paid at all, right? Are there some that haven't paid their water bills at all?
Yes, there's a list of those.
Okay, that's what I'm saying,
There is a list.
that they have not paid their water bill at all, and those are,
And when we talk about paying the water bill, it's a utility bill.
Well,
We got,
I know, but
and so what we're saying is that we can't, if they don't pay their trash bill,
right,
how are we expected to pay our trash bill?
right, no, I get that, I get it's a utility bill, but I'm just saying, those lists of people need to have, to be sent a notice that their outstanding balance is due June 10th. I mean, that's what
I agree with you.
that's what I was trying to understand when I was asking about the numbers, was, do we have a list of people? Because those are the ones that are.
Yes, we've run a list. We've run a list
Do you know
on the
how many are
11th
there?
of the month to see who hasn't, hasn't paid.
I think but we need to go ahead and reinstate it. Is what this whole thing is about.
This whole thing is about, the office staff is asking, can we reinstate these fees and the shut-off?
Yeah.
Everything open back up.
And I think since everything has opened back up, that we are no longer under our disaster declaration, that we should try to put things back as normal as we can. I think that if people call and say, I can't do this because I don't have a job, well then, we need to think about, then we'll bring that up. However, as I said, only one person called and said, I think I'm gonna have a problem because my husband's not working. So,
I'm all for helping people that need
We're-
help.
But you said
Absolutely,
that they paid a little.
they did, they eventually,
There's a big
yes,
difference.
there's a big difference in,
Take some and not
Willing to
take
help
all.
people
that
Take
take
advantage
of
of
money.
themselves.
right,
There's a big difference.
there's a big difference in those people. And the fact that they even called,
Right.
the fact that they called us and said, we may be having a problem because my husband's not working. That, we appreciate people that do that.
If it's open back up, I agree with Jessica.
I make a motion that we reinstate the fees and late charges
And
Second.
suspend it and
and take away the suspension fee.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Jessica, second by John, to reinstate the late charges for utility payments if they're not paid by the 10th of the month, and to suspend and to begin disconnections for non-payment of bills. All in favor?
No, I thought you said,
Oh,
there's something else, isn't there? Before you ask all in favor?
is there any other discussion?
is there any discussion?
Yes, there is.
All right.
Do you think that we need to, not just to reinstate, but something that the balance is due?
For your full balance is due.
Oh, for-
upon
You know what I'm
next
talking
payment.
about?
Balance in full due by June 10th.
That's what I'm trying to
Yes.
say.
And then late fee will go into effect then, and I just mentioned it's like will come
I think
first.
that you
Okay.
need to, I personally think that you need to let everybody know that the drop dead date's coming, and you gotta pay it. And if you don't pay it, it's a late fee.
Yeah.
And if you don't pay it, it's a disconnection. And if you want it back, there's a reconnection. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes.
Because they've been given the opportunity to let us know if they need help during those months. And if they haven't taken advantage of that, it's on them.
So far, we only have one thing.
Are you,
So what they're saying, he's saying is like the full balance is due this month.
I think there needs to be something else in this. I think there needs to be another
Well-
sentence in
I think it's already.
Well,
part of
well,
the-
she put on
there. Is
the,
it?
no, because it's not on the water bill that she just sent out, is it? Does it say the full balance due on the water bill?
it always says the full balance is due.
Cause mine was 63 cents from last month. Write it on there, so yeah.
So whatever, it's a running balance of
Okay.
how much is due.
Okay.
It's a
all right.
running balance
I
on the
didn't-
bill.
I'm sorry.
I mean, those of us who
That's
pay
what
every
I-
month, we don't know that, but
Right.
there is a running balance in there.
Okay, I didn't,
Yes,
my bad.
so I don't think, it's just that we just need to reinstate.
I take back my
Please,
first
George.
discussion.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor? Motion passed. Okay, the rest of this, of what we have has to do with the budget as a workshop. So this is not going to be real formal. I have prepared a preliminary proposed budget at this point for the general fund. Still working at the water department one, the utility department. So what we have here is basically what you received before with the 6 months, and then what the budget was for that, what the annual budget is currently, and then the proposed annual budget. What, turn to page, under the receipts.
Bless you. Again,
Bless you. First page, item number 4070. At our next, are you freezing? You want, I have a sweater. Anybody else is cold? I have something else over there. Okay, on that line item is the property tax. And because we are, at a previous meeting, I had said that, some special, expend it, they had said that we could do, instead of doing the 3.5%, which is the voter approved amount, increase our taxes by, that they were allowing 8%, which is the max that we could ever do, which would require having to have a vote with our, if you did 8%. So I did a calculation on estimated, from the appraisal office. I got an estimated amount of how much our taxes, how much the appraised value of the properties are this year, which everybody knows are high. You got your statement, it says, we know it's high, but we're not gonna cut it. Come and, fight it with us if you want to. So what I did was I took the 3.5%, and then I took 5%, 6%, 7%, 8%, for the figures that we could plug in here for what our property tax, in order to get a balanced budget. And so I did all of the expenses, and then I went back to see what we could plug in, and what we plugged in here was the figure for 5%. So that's about, and the figure for the 3.5% would be 129.02, and the figure for what we have right now is 3.3, and that would be about 114,000.
That was 129,002.
120,902.
Oh,
120.
I wrote it down.
120.
Okay.
So those are the, I'm still trying to figure out, I'm pretty sure that we won't have to have a ballot for it if it's 5%. I'm still trying to figure that part all out. But I thought we should have something, we're early in that, we're early in getting this started, so, I thought if I could give this to you and you could take it and take a look at it. A lot of it is the same as we had last year. With salaries, which are on the last page. And you'll notice this is not balanced here, but the salaries I left the same as last year. At this point, because I haven't had a chance to go through and see what everybody's making now and how long they've been here and all of that. So at this point, those are just plug figures. We've raised and lowered things just based on the first 6 months. The first 6 months were basically no problem months. We really didn't run into anything to do with this pandemic until the end of March. So those are pretty good figures to go by. I even had Belinda run me things through April, and it still stayed pretty much, because most of these bills that we have to pay are just customary bills. So I know you just got this, I'm sorry that I didn't get it to you before, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to
So
try to get an answer.
on your salaries, basically your budget was 93,000 for 6 months. Is that what you're saying?
No, that was the budget. The actual salaries for 60 months.
I understand, but that was just for 6 months. And so the budget was 93. Is that for 6 months or a year?
I think it's for 6 months because the year right happened.
Okay,
Yeah, that's 6 months.
okay, thank you. And so,
We didn't get paid.
Well,
I mean, that's a big difference, I mean,
it's $100,000.
well, take $96,000 off from that. And it's what comes back in.
From the 6 month difference is what it really is right now. That's what I'm looking at, the 6 month.
Well,
30,000.
If you take,
Well, but I'm looking at
I know, you're looking,
93,000 for 6 months, 180,000
right,
per
right,
year. You got
180,000.
280,000.
And you add 96 to that.
I'm sorry?
I see what you're saying.
That just, I'm not,
I mean, is there a
that just
reason?
kind of stuck out to me.
That's fine. Huh?
Something else on that salary, number 5430 that we're talking about. The 2021 budget is the same amount as the 2019-2020 budget.
I think she did that.
Well, we
Well, we did have.
we have
Because we've got a grant.
several employees who are
Scale, reduce scale.
not high up on the scale yet. Or we're not,
She's part of it.
we're not in the,
I was
In the
just wondering
scheme-
about
in the
raises,
scheme of
I mean,
things.
you know, if you-
and what we have done with the raises, we, in last year's budget, we did a 5% increase from the year before. On the 1st of October, everybody got a 3% raise. And then that extra 2% was held over to do a little extra at Christmas time. Still part of their salary, so that was due to a little bit of extra at Christmas time. And then as their hire date, came, their anniversary date came, so that we could consider whether or not to give them an increase. And we've done that with a couple of people. So that was what the extra was for. And since we didn't use it all, and we're gonna have to, Belinda, we have to look at that figure, that 282,000. Maybe it's supposed to be.
This is kind of a placeholder.
Yeah, anyway, we're gonna be working on that part. So anyway, because we didn't use all of that 5%, we may not have to raise it as much. We need to at least do a 3% because that's a cost of living. That's a cost of living.
I understand, I wasn't trying to figure it apart, I was just making sure I
Trying
read it
to-
right, because
And
that-
you are
the
correct.
number looked
It
a little
is,
inflated.
it's, well,
We could buy two.
I'm not sure, but I think that the 96,000 that we transfer over to the water budget hasn't been taken out of that 282.
That's right.
That's kind of,
Okay.
That half comes out of there and then half. comes
Okay.
out.
that's what I'm
Didn't know.
thinking, is I'm not really sure how, my head is just, I've been
Well,
doing this all day.
Mine is
Like,
too, I remember this.
I'm tired with these little numbers. Okay. Any other questions that you might be seeing?
Just a quick glance, that's all you ask.
That's all we can do today is take it home, look it over. We may not have to do 5% if we can whittle it down just a little bit. That'd be great. And not do the full 5% on the taxes.
I think that it would be in our best interest to do that, because simply because these codes.
And we don't know what's gonna come next year. We don't know. It's very difficult to plan, for anybody to plan.
We,
So, gives you something to think about. Probably by our next meeting, which will be our regular meeting. We'll have the other side, the other department, and that one I'm having a really difficult.
If you'll let me know, we could do what we did last year. I think it worked well.
I should figure that out. I just got I still have one other person to talk to about the stuff that they have, and then almost $50,000 that we don't have, and we need to figure out. We've been trying to figure out our permit fees and all the things that we do, are we really charging them for certain things? And so that was something that the office staff had said that they thought we should look at. We could look into find some of them. We're gonna be looking at that. Linda, you got anything to add about the budget?
No, we have been brainstorming those some to look at our permit fees and compare it with other cities and see where we may, be too low. And some other ideas about some things we may do. Of course, we, welcome y'all input.
On the items that are germane to the police department, maybe I just don't understand. I mean, doesn't the police department have a budget? And if so,
It's in the-
like, why would we pay? I mean, I understand that his phone has to be on one the bill that we get them, but why doesn't the money come from the police department to pay for the police phone? The police have equipment, why doesn't the money come from income from
Where
the
do you
police
think,
department?
where do you think we skip?
Well, okay, just a second here. Telephone, item 5460-2, telephone police, $1,600. The city pays that? Why
they're in the
does the
general
police department?
If you
Where
will
do they
take,
get their
if you will take a look at your very first page,
Okay,
very first line where it says court fines, that's all the money that comes in for the police department.
That one, and then the Star Harbor stuff is from the police
okay,
department
so this
too.
has,
Well,
Yeah, this has everything for them.
so the
what they
police
bring in
department
for
income is
this.
in.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's all in
yes,
one.
yes.
this is, yes, we are,
Confirm that.
they are a department of our corporation.
Yeah, right. No,
That's why. And I did want to point out, on page 3, 5170-2, the police, the county has gone to, or is going to a new dispatch system. And if we do not get new radios, our officers will not be able to be dispatched by police would,
They're going digital.
chief
Going
was,
digital.
they're going digital, which means that they are gonna be on a higher frequency than our phones handle, or our devices handle. Currently, we have 6 mobile devices, which means they're in the vehicles. And so we're going to eliminate one because we have, the truck is used for animal control and it's not going to be used to dispatch. So we'll need one, so we're taking that one out.
Is the fifth one in the office? Do we just have-
We have a unit in the office. We have it in the
And then
office.
the 4 officers vehicles.
And then the 4 officers' vehicles. And then each of them has to have a handheld.
And they're not-
And they are, it's really expensive. There we go. The in-car is called a mobile phone. And each of the units is almost $4,700.
This is for all of
So
them.
it's for that plus,
Is there any seized funds or
so
anything? that can support
39,000 of that 44.
So, I know he gets seized funds or, is there
But
any
yeah.
of that can be used towards that? Why not?
Well, you're asking about whether there's a grant or something that we can get.
Like,
Well,
Like, well,
Try to.
They have a seizure account that has funds in it, though. That way they can assist and pay for it.
yeah.
Is that what you're
but-
saying?
Because remember when we were talking about the iPads, he could use the seized funds on the, the,
I don't think they.
the licensing, but he couldn't use it on the iPads. So that's what I'm asking, is there any of those that can be used towards this fund?
These.
Chief, are you in there? Can you come out?
Yes, question.
There, you've got a question about whether you could use any of your seized funds to help pay for the new devices that we need.
Interesting. I don't know. I have to check in and see.
Just to kind of help with the cost, because they are so expensive, just out of curiosity, so we can know what we're working with. But I was just curious if we could use some of that.
It's a good question. I'll check, find out.
You want debt, what did you say?
Seized funds,
Seized?
but like, I don't know how to explain it.
Are you talking about how we get that seized funds?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it's seizures that are, it's funds, like we impound a vehicle, that
Right.
usually sell and drag,
Yeah.
sell it and get the money. So
No, okay, yeah,
Okay.
I just couldn't hear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But
Yeah,
the-
these funds can only be used for certain.
That's right. They're very restrictive of what we can use. Okay.
That's why I was asking.
And typically when it's equipment, unless it's something uncustomary, we could use it for those things, but usually things that are part of your regular operating expenses, you can't, but I'll check to make sure.
Okay.
It's like some overtime, if we're doing a drug interdiction program, we could use that money to pay for those kind of salaries. But just as general salaries, we wouldn't be able to use.
Thank you. Okay.
We think you could use them, because this is out of the ordinary, this isn't normal. Because somebody else is forcing us to do something to you.
I don't even think so in the normal world.
It's just a personal thing.
The other handout that you, the park. We just did a comparison of, park income for, April and May. You can see that the launches remained the same. We made a little money on walking passes because we've got so much activity going on down there right now. But we have lost money in the RV park and Red Barn. And of course KCKL, because hopefully they're just postponing. Did I? They totally canceled? No, they haven't yet.
Well, they, last night, hoping they said they would be.
How much did they make last weekend?
Over about a 4-day period, about 3,200.
I'll say, it was,
It was
that was a good crowd. So that was a good shot.
There 500 of that was a tournament.
Huh?
500 of that was a tournament.
It's not bad. Not bad at all.
Okay.
Our maintenance guy would get the work.
Do we have any citizen comments? Anybody have anything?
Did you say that, a problem is that the income the city gets sometimes is not received in a timely manner to pay our bills, to pay the city's bills? Well, I don't know all of the bills that the city has, but germane like to vehicle payments, or, in other words, there's some things you can do, like pay an extension, waive a payment, or if a due date change would help. Banks are very keen on staying on what will keep their loans, et cetera, that we might have current. And if a due date change would help, then it's just a matter of paperwork, and that is, if that would help. And in fact, refinancing, I don't know, that's probably the last step, ditch effort to refinance something. I mean, I'm sure we're not delinquent, but yet things can be done to change due dates and to waive payments if that would help.
Sir,
So, and I don't know, some of them, maybe some of them have been, but kind of in response to what John said, is that most companies, when they say that their income is not enough for them to make that payment, it's because that's the way they build their budget. They've got the money in the bank to pay it, but they're trying to operate off of the budget. And I'm assuming that's kind of what you do. I don't know. I'm just saying. Okay, I'm making a motion.
that's a good comment. We have a motion on the floor to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
So Jennifer, let me know.
What are you looking for?
Can we give it a-
Somebody rough you up?
No, my leg.
Who is it? I'll go there. What?
You see no boo-boo? It doesn't hurt. I really didn't feel well on purpose.
I wouldn't have admitted to that.
It was on purpose because it was for the obstacle course to get into the police department.
To get in the police department.
Oh, yeah.
You're trying to break